a lot of good things throughout the week, and there's a lot of confidence. Obviously we have to be smart because it is his first introduction to, full contact, full speed contact, other than what he had in practice this week. And he had a very good week. I mean, the young man has worked his tail off, and, I think he's done the things that they've needed to see. So that's the real big positive for us going forward.
So going back to how he looked early in camp, knowing that he's had about a month off, what can you expect from him Sunday?
Well, I mean, we most certainly have to be aware and have a pitch count, obviously. But the biggest thing more than anything else is the young man has just been terrific from day one in training camp, worked his tail off, had the unfortunate where, we had to put him down for a little bit, and then now he's back up. He's been working hard. He's done everything, he needs to. He's been chomping at the bit. So we're excited for his opportunity.
Sorry, did I just miss the snap count or anything
We'll
along?
see how it goes. Again, we have to be smart and be diligent on that.
He hasn't had contact for a month prior to today. So he's
had contact this week.
right. I'm sorry. I meant to this week. So, but in terms of, is that just like normal? Like if your guy was out for several on IR and you came off, you're like,
It'd be
okay,
the
you're
same
good to
thing.
go.
It'd be the same type of situation, and again, we have to be smart.
And with Curtis, I don't think we've asked you this week what is limited, obviously, but what does that mean and just in general and then for Sunday?
We'll see how he is. I mean, he's had some general soreness and some tightness, and again, we just want to make sure he's where he needs to be, and he's ready to roll.
I think last year in San Francisco, you guys had a snap count for Chase, but he exceeded it because he looks good. Is that something you guys are open to again, or do you want to be more stringent?
We will take it as it happens.
Gotcha. And so when you have a guy who's coming back, what was it like, I guess, planning on what sort of, how you want to use him, or what was that like this week?
Well, that'll be the biggest thing more than anything else is I know the defensive coaches have talked about it this morning about, what we can do, what we can't do, and we'll see how it goes. Again, it'll be something that they get together on and they talk about. What we've done the last few weeks is we've practiced him as if he was playing every week anyways.
Jonathan Allen was talking to us yesterday about kind of the high standards the defense has. I'm kind of wondering how you see that play out throughout the week or even on game day, those standards carrying out to plays and such.
Well, I can tell you, it is very evident during practice. They if something's wrong, they want to see it again so they can get it corrected now. They're challenging each other, and it's one of those things that it's one of the things that you want the players to understand is that they challenge each other, they hold each other accountable. That's the first one of the real big steps that you take in trying to team build, and that is guys understanding that it doesn't have to always be from the coaches. And it makes more impact when they're the ones holding themselves accountable and they have the standards that they set. That to me has really been important, and just knowing that and hearing that from our football team, that's exciting.
Do you feel like this is, or do you feel like their standards differ from the other teams you've been around, or now that this group has been here for a few years, like, do you see those standards change or elevate?
Everybody has their own standard. But this is the kind of standard that I believe, teams that I've been associated with in the past have. And that's great expectations of themselves, holding themselves accountable, in their way, the way they do it.
Coach, in the second year, Brian Robinson, obviously being able to participate in the beginning of the season, got the lion's share of touches in week one. Just what have you seen from him in his sophomore season?
Well, I think the progression, the growth, the learning, that's been really good. He's got a long ways to go, but he works at it very hard. EB's constantly on him. Coach Jordan, Coach King, they're constantly on him because they really think he can flourish in this offense if he can grasp it, do little detailed things, understand how important and the reason why to a lot of these things. He's got tremendous natural skills, and again, it's just finding his stride within what we do.
And then early on in the game against Arizona, some personal fouls early for late hits or hits to the head on Sam. The Denver Broncos also got flagged a couple times in their opening week game for a similar type of plays. Is that something you'll talk to Coach Payton or the officials about before the game?
We'll see how it all unfolds.
What specifically are you looking for from Chase?
I think right off the bat, just being consistent. It's unfortunate because he had a really good camp. He had some really good practices against against ourselves as we were leading up to the opener and the preseason. So when we saw him, you know, it was, you know, wow. And then he, you know, he has the play, which, you know, if he doesn't have the stinger, it's a sack. I mean, it just, there's, you know, there's a lot of promise this year. Really, there's a lot of excitement. His mentality, his approach to everything has been just what you're looking for. And I think a big part of it is he really does feel back from the knee situation more so than anything else.
With seeing how offenses struggled around the league, does that provide context for what your guys' group were like as it was going through, or do you use that and view Sam's performance differently or anything like that?
Well, I mean, typically this is the way it usually is. You know, the defenses tend to be a little bit ahead early in the year, and then as offenses get into shape, you know, they kind of get into form, then you see it. You know, and we just kind of think there's going to be a little bit of a growth period. It really is. But, you know, we do think, though, that with the playmakers around them and the things that we do up front with our line, that we can have some success. And we'll see how it, you know, how it goes as we go forward.
Anything else?
When you have with the neck injury with Chase, like how sensitive do you have to be to an injury like that? And just like, does it complicate?
Well, I think that's why it took so long to get him back on the field. You know, the doctors wanted to make sure, they wanted to be, you know, careful with it. And again, you know, they had probably in their minds what they felt he had to show them to be able to have him play this week. So, you know, we're pretty excited about him, you know, being back out there.
Last year, the run game was successful, but it wasn't always super explosive. Is that something you guys have focused on, and do you think that it can be more explosive this year?
We think we can. I mean, again, it's, you know, just got to hit the play the right way and continue to block and, you know, make the plays, make the blocks downfield as well. That's where the explosives come, you know, when the next group of guys, whether it be the wide receivers, the tight ends, or the offensive line, get an extra block downfield. That's really where you see those explosive plays.
All right, all good. Matt, last one.
Just with the running game, like, does the timing of the game kind of impact whether they explode? Like when you guys are kind of grinding out Arizona, like,
Yeah,
does
I mean,
that just decrease the chances?
it
for
does
explosive?
because you're grinding out. They know you're grinding it out. You know, there's a lot more eight-man boxes, a lot more nine-man boxes. There's a lot more commitment to stopping the run. Their focus is right there. But when you're in the middle of the game, there's a really good flow, and you hit them, you know, in a two-man coverage where the DBs have their backs to it, the safeties are a little bit deeper, and you hit that first crease, you're up into the second level, and what turned out to be probably a 5 or 6 yard run now turns into a 15 or 20 yard run. And, you know, those that's because that's part of the flow of the game. You know, when you have balance, and that's one thing that Coach Bieniemy talks a lot about to our guys, is we want the balance. We want to be able to always constantly keep that threat, you know, on them that, hey, we can run the ball, we can throw the ball off play action, we can throw the ball off boot action, we can throw the ball off a drop back, but that keeps everything open in terms of, hey, we can run it, we can run something inside, we can bounce the ball, get something outside. Those things, the balance is what creates more opportunities because now they're trying to, you know, go on tendencies, they're trying to go on down a distance, and now all of a sudden, you know, they're in a two shell, and you hit them, you know, with a quick hitting run, something off tackle, and he makes one guy miss, and he's into the secondary that quickly. So that's kind of the flow, and that's kind of the balance that Eric talks about with our offense. All right, thank you guys. All right, we'll move everything back in place.